of predatory journals and the use of journalistic whitelist and predatory blacklist. I really warm welcome to her, and I would like to invite her to provide us with a brief overview of Cabells, its founding history, and the criteria to employ of evaluation and processing for university certificate. Please, Mr. Ash, give us a brief review about Cabells, and if you can share your screen about Cabells to our meeting. Thanks you again.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to see you all here. As I said a minute ago, I am quite new to Cabells, so please bear with me as I go around the site. I have actually just messaged my Chief Commercial Officer to see if he's free to join us, just so he can provide that extra level of sort of knowledge, information. If not, like I say, I will take a quick tour through the website. It's a very user-friendly website. It's a very user-friendly platform. So there's a wealth of information in there that we can go through. It takes about 15-20 minutes most to detail all the information that's included in the resource. Then we can open for questions. Any questions that I can't field or answer at the moment, what I will do is I will ask you to put them into the chat. Or if you can accumulate them all together and then send me an email. Aziz, if you can sort of manage that on your side, then what I can do is then forward that on to my senior team, get the correct answers if I don't know the answers off the top of my head, and send that back to you later this week, if that's okay. So I'm just loading up the few web pages that I need, so just bear with me a second while I go a little bit quiet and share my screen. Can you let me know when you can see the screen there?
Yes, sure.
Yep, you can see that. Okay.
Yes, your screen very clear to us.
Beautiful, that's great. Right, so when you're navigating, so I basically started this from the very beginning. So obviously a new user to the Cabells services will obviously arrive at cabells.com. This is the landing page that you'll be greeted with that actually has the company information. I think I heard you mention in your introduction briefly a bit about sort of the criteria that we use to sort of warrant whether a journal goes onto the predatory reports list. Obviously, in terms of journalytics, that's a little bit of a different approach. That's done through cooperation with the publishers. So we work with the publishers to list them on the journals, and that goes through the editorial processes. It does. But in terms of finding out more about the predatory criteria, if I just quickly click onto this, you'll see that it's here. So we don't have a document to send out or anything like that, but we which warrant the various tags that we give them. So that's tags of severity, essentially. So we do major, we do minor, and we do somewhere in the middle where we think there's sort of moderate is what we call it. Okay. So they're all listed there for your knowledge. What I can do is I can put that in the chat for you if you want to review that for yourself. There's a lot of information otherwise to read through. So I've just popped the link to that page in the chat for you all to preview at your own leisure. Okay. So if I just go back to the front, you'll see there that the top left, you've got the access button up there, which you once clicked on. If you're a subscribing institution or you have access to the database, it will take you through to the main landing page. Now, this gives you, or this is giving me access to three sites, as you can see there: medicine, academic, and STEM. Just a bit of a sort of a precursor, really. STEM is currently in development, so this is kind of, you're able to see it on my screen, but if you were to log in individually, you wouldn't actually get the STEM journalistic STEM button at the moment. It's not ready for public consumption, public launch at the moment. So that's just a heads up there. We're going to go through the academic. This is the one that I like to take people through. do let me know if you are focused more around medicine. We can also have a look. They are two separate pages. Obviously, same information, different lists of journals are included there. But as you can see, if you click on the Journalytics Academic, it will take you through to the main landing page. Starting at the top here, we have the featured section. This gives you information about all the journals which we cover, which, as you can see, is over 33,000 in total. These are made up of over 13,000 journalytics on the Journalytics platform. So these are verified journals that we suggest would be good for you to publish within. We also have a long list of 19,831, and they are predatory titles. So we list those in, as you are probably aware, what was the blacklist, journals to avoid. These are out and out predatory publishers, predatory journals that we are trying to help the industry avoid. The couple of other bits that you can see there, we also have some metrics. Now, I'll go through the metrics when we go into the main page. But on the featured, you can get access to what we call the attention grabbers from Altmetric. And we also have the summarized information for the site. So if you are aware of Research Solutions, they provide citation data, but more context around the standard citation data. So it's whether that the citations are supporting, mentioning, or actually contrasting previous research, as opposed to the traditional, this is how many times your journal has been cited, the traditional static citation number. Okay. So if we just click on the verified journals, what I like to do is, as long as this is okay with all you here today, I'll take you through Journalytics first. What I tend to do is I tend to search on the term British, as this brings up a I need to be able to spell first. British. And this will bring up, it gives you a good sample of results. So we get 961 journals resulted with the name British. This just allows me to demo all the information, all the metrics that we put out there for you. So we'll have a look at the Wiley journal here that's second in the list. This gives you a snapshot. It's a lot of information on this particular journal, which is why I like to use it during a demo. But it gives you a snapshot of all the details that we are able to provide in terms of information around the various journals listed on Journalytics. So the dashboard here is where we are now. This looks at sort of your discipline ranking. So this ranks you, the journal, in regards to the discipline within which it publishes. So obviously this one is management, and the score there being 92% means that this journal is in the top 8% of management journals published, across the board. So it just gives you a snapshot of where we rank it within that discipline. You can see there that it gives you the back data as well, so it tells you the various influence rankings throughout the years gone by as well. All right. Further information, you can always visit the various websites. So where we take that information from, you click on visit website, and that'll take you through to the detailed information from the website where we get the information. Looking at topics, instead of just looking at management as a whole discipline, on the influence score, we can actually break that down into the various subsections of management that the journal covers. So as you can see here, under the term general management, which would be an area of the journal, it gets the ranking of 86%, meaning it's in the top 14% of the general management journals. These are the areas then that it covers under general management. So you've got business law, direct marketing, communication, things like that. So it really does sort of nail down to the specific area of the content that it's covering. Okay. As I mentioned when I first started, and apologies if I zoom through this, I tend to talk pretty quick to get across all the information, giving us more time for questions at the end. So just do stop me or shout out if you've got any questions as I work through all this information. Okay, as I said before, smart citations, so they come from Research Solutions under the site. .ai portfolio. So as I said, this is it takes your standard citation metric, which we're all used to being a static figure. It takes that figure and it basically breaks that down into more contextual information. So as you can see on the left-hand side of that little box, it's got supporting, mentioning, and disputing. Now, we aggregate that up to journal level in this regard. So obviously, when citation metrics are published via the Web of Science, Scopus, that kind of provider, obviously Cite as well, they will be at article level. We actually aggregate those up to journal level. Right, Aziz, I can see your question. Some journals are suddenly indexed out of Scopus. How can Cabells assist researchers in navigate the issue and avoiding such journal? In terms of out of Scopus, do you mean they've been removed from the Scopus database, or?
And this thing in Scopus.
Right, okay. So obviously we are a separate sort of provider to Scopus, Web of Science, like that. So if they're not indexed in Scopus, then they've been removed for various reasons that may be to do with, the team at Scopus there taking them off. It doesn't necessarily mean that if they've come out of Scopus, they will come out of Journalytics. So if they are listed in both, feel free to, obviously, if you decide to take a subscription or access to Journalytics, you will be able to come across and see the journal information on our site. So we're not sort of linked to Scopus. We are standalone. We are publisher and agnostic and things like that. So very much independent. So yeah, we essentially, if they do come out of Scopus, they won't come off Journalytics automatically. Is that okay, Aziz? Is that what you're looking for, or?
I mean, many researchers submit article to some journal, and suddenly this journal out of Scopus. So this research or paper not indexing in Scopus. So how your list can help researcher to avoid this journal?
Okay, so as I say, if Scopus decide to remove it from their list, you would need to speak to Scopus about that. I wouldn't know the reasons behind why they take the list or the journal off the list at Scopus. But as I said, you will be able to come across to Journalytics and try and search. If we list the same journal, it will remain on Journalytics. We won't just remove it because it's been taken from Scopus. So we can help provide the researcher in terms of the information that you can see sort of in front of us. So we can't guarantee whether you publish in a journal that it will remain on Scopus. As I say, we are publisher agnostic, so we don't work in partnership with any other publishers. So be that Elsevier and the Web of Science team, or EBSCO and Scopus and people like that. So we don't work in partnership with them. So like I say, one action from Scopus or Web of Science doesn't influence. Have we got more people joining, have we? Okay. Right, they all should be joining in a minute, that's fine. Yeah, so one action from either Web of Science or Scopus doesn't affect the journals listed on Journalytics. So if you have access to Journalytics and we proceed and, we provide access to you guys, then you'll be able to pop onto Journalytics, look for the journal that you're interested in publishing in, and then you'll be able to, research the information on the journal, make sure it's the right journal. The interesting point to add there is for all subscribing institutions that take Journalytics, academic, medicine, the soon-to-be STEM product, and the premium level product. So we do have some smaller products underneath, but the tier 2 level products, as I call them, and the premium product, they benefit from getting access to what we call our Compass AI companion. So this is an AI sort of, I guess, search bot. So what that would do is that would run a search against our list of academic journals if you were subscribing to the academic. It would list it against the medical journals if you were subscribing to the medicals. And by pasting your abstract from your journal, your publication that you're wanting to publish, your paper, the Compass AI will actually list you a list of relevant journals that you'd be able to publish in. So it's an easy way to find the best fit journal using, the AI technology that we're all trying to adopt at the moment. So I can quickly take you through that. I don't have an abstract to hand, so I'll show you how it works in a second when we've got through this topic card on journalistic, if that's okay. So just moving along, the dashboard here, as I said, it covers the discipline ranking, it covers the smart citations, it also gives you information on distribution and access. So here you can see the British Journal of Management is a hybrid journal, so that's open and paid for access. And it gives you a bit of information here on what we call the attention grabbers. So if we click on that, you can see it just gives you highlights as to where the article and the journal, the articles from within the journal are being discussed across the board. So as you can see there, a lot of mentions for this particular journal on Twitter, various things on Facebook, news outlets, as well as policy documents, that kind of places. So it gives you information on where articles within this given journal are being talked about, essentially. Further on the right-hand side there, it obviously gives you the top 5 articles from within the journal and their altmetric score there in the coloured donut that we're all used to seeing. Okay. Topics, we've been through the topics. So as I say, from the dashboard, you can click through all the different blocks there, but you can also scroll along the top. So this is the influence score, as I explained earlier, and the smart citations are there. Look, so we do, as I keep mentioning, we aggregate that up to journal level, as opposed to if you access site directly, you would get that down at granular level. Just notice your platform goes beyond just black and white lists. It provides detailed citation analysis, making it function almost like a journal ranking system. So yes, we do provide a ranking for the journals. That's the sort of the CCI score that you can see there on the dashboard. But yeah, so it is more than just a black and white list, which is why we kind of changed the name. I mean, I wasn't with the company for very long so far. I can't recall what year we changed the name from sort of black and white list. But it's more about all the information any researcher would need to decide whether they want to publish within a given journal. So that's what we're trying to achieve. We're also working on a master list of journals as well. So request to start recording.
Recording in progress.
Right, so the recording's just started according to that. So we've missed a little bit at the start, but any questions you can always through Aziz or come to me directly and ask if you want any information. So yeah, it is a journals ranking system. How does the database differ from the original Beals list of predatory journals? Now that one, Beals list was, I think, a fair few years ago now, but I will save that question, put that to Simon. Simon does have a definitive answer to where we differ from that. So if that's okay, so I'll put that to the back and I'll provide, Aziz, I'll provide you with an answer to that as soon as I've spoke to Simon after the meeting, if that's okay. So just going back to the dashboard here, we've had a look at the discipline ranking, the topic areas, the smart citations, the attention grabbers. As I said, it gives you information on the access as well. So you can see here it's a hybrid OA, so it's a green OA. This is all information that's required to obtain certain amounts of funding as well. So this is useful information. As you can see, it gives you the number of articles published, and it also gives you all the information on the right-hand side about APC charges, that kind of thing, author posting rights, that kind of stuff. So a lot of detailed information. Now, we work directly with the publisher to get all this information. So this is not just data that we've researched and pulled together. We actually, have a direct link with the publishing, and we find all this information from source. So therefore, it's trusted, it's verified information that you can take away, and it's information you can rely on when you're looking where to publish your paper. Okay. The next thing I think is one of the most important things for an aspiring researcher or author. It's information regarding the submission process. This is, varies from publisher to publisher. So it's really easy to have that to hand. So as you can see here, looking at this, the length of the manuscript that you're going to submit is 6,000 words. It gives you the reference styling. It gives you the acceptance rate, which is another key indicator of whether you'd want to publish your, this accepts on average 12% of articles submitted. Is that a question for me?
No, Mister. I think one member opened his headphone by error.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so final bit of information, as I've said, it gives you access to fee information for the publisher. So this is APC charges and also time to publication, as that's direct link to the portal, the submission portal as well would be available on that side. Final bit of information on all the journal cards that we provide is the peer review process. I mean, this is critical to when we're trying to, publish within a good journal. So it's good to have this information. As you can see here, it tells you that there is a plagiarism screening. It is the review type is double anonymized, which is double blind peer review, as we all know it. It gives you an idea of the timescale for review. So it's telling you that once you submit your article for review, it's going to be about a month for that to go through the review process. There are standards amount of the internal reviewers are normally 1 to 2 people. I think also for externals that you'll see here, it's noted that this actually has 1 internal reviewer and 3 external reviewers as well. And again, a link through to the website so you can find out more detailed information on that.
Sorry, Mr. Ash. Sorry.
Okay. Yes, hello.
Dr. Fawzi, please close your iPhone. Dr. Fawzi, please mute your phone. Dr. Fawzi?
I can mute it for him. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ash. Sorry for contribution.
No, absolutely no problem at all. So I've gone through all of are there any questions for the journalistic side of things? Because that is a snapshot of the card. So as I say, if it was a journalistics academic subscription that you were looking to take, there are 13,000 journals listed there. Does your platform provide additional data such as time to submission, acceptance, turnaround time? Yeah, so that's all on that last page there. Look, so there's all the submission information. Just excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough, so I'm going to have to take a quick drink. Yeah, so turnaround times, as I've said, time to publication there is 12 months. Acceptance rate is there, 12%. And again, the peer review press. So when you're in the process of doing the peer review, it gives you the timescales and the format of the review process that they undertake for this journal there as well. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
What are the main criteria that should be considered when choosing a journal that claims to be indexed in Scopus before publishing in it? Okay, well, if it claims to be published in Scopus, I mean, again, if on the journal, if you're going direct to the journal website, I believe if you have an institutional subscription to Scopus, then the best thing to do there is go to Scopus and check that it's actually on there. If they are claiming to be indexed in Scopus, but you can't find them on the Scopus list, then I think there's questions to be asked. You can indeed then report that journal to us here at Cabells, and we will take it through our editorial processes for the predatory publishing report. So if you believe that that's actually a predatory title that's then saying, actually, we're on Scopus when they're clearly not, we will then submit that into our editorial process for inclusion in predatory reports if it meets the detailed criteria that I linked you to earlier. It doesn't necessarily mean just because it's saying that it's indexed in Scopus, you can't find it. It's not an automatic inclusion into predatory reports. We would have to go through the process of doing our editorial work on that. We have a team of dedicated editorial staff that look at a journal, will contact the journal and work with the journal to make sure it's not just a mistake before it is included on the list. Once it's included on predatory reports, obviously the publisher has a right to appeal as well. So if indeed we find that it warrants the criteria and should be included, we will list it on predatory reports. But the publisher can contact us and work with us to have that journal delisted. If it's delisted from predatory reports, it doesn't automatically include mean inclusion into journalytics neither. As I say, that is a wholly separate process, and we work with the publisher directly, as in, do you want us to list your journals on journalytics? It's sort of a signpost to what is or what are journals that are good to publish in. And that it's good that it becomes from Cabells. As I say, Cabells are publisher agnostic, so we are seen as an independent reviewer as sorts. Therefore, we're not sort of classed as a publisher promotional tool, because we don't work in partnership with the publisher. We ask them if they want to be listed, and then we will ask them for a set of information which we then set about matching against criteria for inclusion in journalytics, or indeed include in predatory reports. How can Cabells support our scientific promotion communities in making accurate and evidence-based decisions? Specifically, do your predatory reports provide detailed documentation of the specific violations committed by a journal to severe or as a formal justification? Yes. So you'll see in a minute, I'm going to click on predatory reports. In fact, I can do that now. So predatory reports, I'll keep the same search term as British because, funnily enough, quite a lot of the predatory journals will take on board the sort of the prominent journal titles. So you will find a lot of predatory titles are British Journal of, American Journal of, because it's just how it works. They find the best journal. So as you can see here, we have listed at the top of the list, when I search for British, 708 results, and mainly they all come from a publisher known as the British Open Research Publications Company. Now, what these sort of publishers tend to do is they tend to take on a journal of, say, bioinformatics, and they will find a reputable publisher that's got an informatics journal, and they will mirror the journal title to the letter as much as they can without copying it identically. So you'll see what they tend to do is then, they'll call it the British Open Journal of Bioinformatics, but then they'll just regurgitate that every time they want to produce a new journal. So you can see here, anesthesiology, they've done Journal of Buildings, they've done Journal of Community, but it's all the same format, and they just open up a journal. I suppose you could call it a container on the website, which they're hoping you will upload your article into for publication. They're hoping you will pay your APC charges. Apologies. And then obviously they just move on to another sort of topic area, and they rinse and repeat effectively. That's how, unfortunately, predatory publishers are making their money in this market. So if I just click on any of these, really, the question that you've just asked, do we provide detailed information on where they are violating the criteria that you linked to? Apologies. Right. So it starts with an overview and it gives you a violation summary. These are they're ranked in, as I said, severity. So we've got minor, moderate, or major. You can see by the different colours here, the burgundy colour, major. This particular one, it's got peer review violations. It's got publication practice violations. Now, in summary, what we do in terms of the criteria, one major violation and they're automatically listed. One minor doesn't mean they're going to get listed in sort of predatory reports. What it does mean is that we will contact the publisher, work with the publisher just to see why that's actually happened and work with them to sort of, make sure that they're hitting the mark in terms of what they need to be doing. This is because obviously new journals, journal upstarts, they can sometimes publish their journal to get articles in, but obviously they're not staffed by experienced members of editorial people. Apologies, I've got a right puff today. So in terms of the detailed information, once you see the overview, as you can see there, it's got two major, one on the publication practices, and it gives you the number there. If you click on the violations tab, it actually tells you exactly what is wrong or the violation details are. So on the severe and the moderate, you can see there, peer review process. There is no editor or editorial board listed on the journal's website. Now, there's literally no reason why a legitimate journal would not list their editorial information on their website. It can be, I guess, an oversight when a journal upstart has just begun, but it very rarely is. So that's why it's classed under severe. Such a violation will warrant inclusion into predatory reports straight away. Okay, publishing practice. So on this particular one, there are no articles published or the archives are missing issues. So you can go into that and you'll see major gaps in the content that it proposes that it's publishing under the journal title, and a couple of minor ones here. The website hasn't got a physical address for the publisher or gives a fake name, so obviously it's quite minor. So we include that, but that on its own wouldn't warrant inclusion in predatory reports. Same with no policies for digital preservation. We will indeed contact the publisher, work with the publisher just to make sure that they can update their information and make sure they're adhering to the standards that you'd expect from a reputable academic publisher. Okay, is there any? Oh, there's a couple further questions there. If a journal is listed on predatory reports or blacklist, files an appeal, can it be removed from the list if it proves that the findings were incorrect? Yeah, indeed. So yeah, there's an official appeals process. You just basically fill in a form to say, look, my journal's been listed on predatory reports. That will enter into a formal review, which will be staffed by our team of editorial. They will make direct contact with the publisher, and they will basically say, work with the publisher to say, look, these are the issues we found. You can provide documented evidence that you've sort of fixed the issues, then you will indeed come off predatory reports. It's not sort of once you're on there, you're staying on there. We're looking just to regulate sort of the market to provide that level of security for all aspiring researchers and authors that they're publishing their hard work in the right places, essentially. So yes, there is an official appeals process, and it can come off the listing should they meet the criteria to an adequate level. Okay. As I said, though, if they do come off predatory reports, it's not an automatic inclusion into journalytics as in the verified journals. That's a wholly separate process. And really, that's it to show you around the website. The only other tool that I mentioned briefly was the Compass AI. So this works when you have a certain level of subscription. So that would be academic medicine, the soon-to-be STEM, and upwards. Aziz, I can explain to you the various levels of subscription that are available after the call via an email, so you have all that detail. But simply, you paste your abstract in there, and then click submit, and it would then basically search our database and give you a list of the closest matched journals. I think you can also do it sort of through keyword search as well. Now, I haven't got an abstract to hand to paste in there. I mean, if Simon was here, my chief commercial officer, he actually publishes papers himself, and on occasion he can show you, he can paste his abstract in, and it gives you a real life demo of that. But you can keywords, I think, as well. So if you put medical, in fact, it actually wants more characters. So what I'll do is I'll give you a list or an example of that after the meeting. I can forward you a link to that and show you exactly how it works. But essentially, it goes through the list of verified journals that we have here at Cabells. It would match, using AI, would match your manuscript to the various journals that it thinks are the best fit. It ranks them in order of best fit as well. You can actually then use the filters to say, right, I want to do open access, or I want to do paid for, or there's various filters on there. But yeah, I think that is it. Any other questions? In fact, we need an intermediary platform between the researcher and the journal that guarantees the researcher's rights to have their journal included in journals published ranking, even if the journal is removed from the global ranking system, such as Scopus or Clarivate. Could Cabells provide this? So in terms of that, what is it, Dr. Zanan? Is that how you pronounce, or Youssef? Can you explain more about what you mean in terms of what you're looking for Cabells to provide? We provide detailed ranking information that's available now. Doctor, yes, the service at free of charge. Unfortunately, no. The platform requires an annual subscription. The Compass AI element is a free of charge bolt on to a subscription from the level 2 customers. I'll put all that in an email and circulate that to Aziz. He can then circulate that around you internally if you want to understand that better. Any further questions at all? What is the annual subscription for a single? So it varies on FTE. So we'd have to go through that, and I'd send you the pricing details after the call. It's not something I can just. We haven't got a static figure. It's based on full-time equivalents in terms of student numbers, as we call it. But I can provide that. Obviously, we have regional pricing, so prices in Iraq or the UK and the US do vary. But I'm waiting for pricing to actually be confirmed this week for this year. So if that's okay, Aziz, I will put that in an email to you, the various levels of subscription that's available. What I would need is an idea of FTE number of students for the university, as we have a tiered ranking system for based on those numbers. And what are the pricing modules or discounts available if a group of university consortium decide to subscribe? Again, yeah, if there's a group of universities subscribing, we can work on a price. So we'd do, as you say there, we would be able to enter into a consortium sort of special deal. depending on who's subscribing the number, and obviously how payment is received and things like that, we can work on something. Is that okay? Which major international universities and academic institutions currently rely on Cabells database? Furthermore, which global organizations or accrediting bodies support or partner with Cabells? Now, the second part of that question, I will have to refer to Simon. The first part of the question is, we have over 1,000 customers worldwide. Off the top of my head, I know we've got the likes of MIT in the US. They subscribe to parts of our database. I'm trying to think of who else off the top of my head. We can provide a sort of a handful of example universities that currently utilize the Cabells resources. Again, I'll put that in an email for further circulation, if that's okay. Researchers and journals. This platform will protect researchers' right to have their work counted in journal ranking, even if that journal is later removed. So we in terms of journal rankings, the information you see there on rankings is taken from the publisher source. So if they remove the journal from their list, whilst we will, have the information on our system, that all the information, you might find that obviously, if Altmetrics remove their journal from their rankings, that's the kind of thing. I don't know exactly. I would have to put that to Simon just to clarify, but we are there between sort of we are a middle of a sort of platform as you describe it. We are here to protect the researcher from publishing in predatory titles as opposed to recommended titles. How we could guarantee a ranking system like Scopus if Scopus delist it, I'm not too sure at the moment. I mean, we do provide, as I showed you earlier, the various metrics here on, if I just do the same search, so we're going back to the same card. We do have the sort of the discipline ranking here. So, whilst it may not be no longer listed in Scopus, you would still be able to rely on sort of the discipline influence score here. This is an in-house score that here at Cabells we sort of provide. So we call it the CCI ranking. So I guess in that regard, if your journal of interest does come off Scopus, you'll be able to refer to the Cabells CCI score. Yes. Any other questions?
Thank you so much, Sarash. And if you can, we listen to Mr. Simon about some question.
Yeah. So all the questions are in the chat. I'll be able to access the chat after the meeting. So I'm going to put them all in into an email to Simon, and just to get him to answer them. The best thing I can advise is that obviously I've answered as much as I can. I've only been with the company 3 and a bit months, so still learning. So if any of Simon's answers come back and they kind of contradict mine, go with Simon's, because he's got more information. He's got more knowledge about Cabells and how it works. He's actually been at Cabells in 2 separate stints. He first came as the marketing director about 3 years ago. He then left and went to digital science, where he worked for, I think he worked for Dimensions. I think the Dimensions data team there. I can't remember. He's now come back to Cabells as the chief commercial officer. Myself, I've worked with Simon before as well. We were both at Emerald. We started our publishing careers at Emerald Group Publishing, and I myself have been in various sales positions throughout the publishing world for the last 20 years. So yeah, I've kind of rejoined the team with Simon here at Cabells, and we're looking to help you guys, as you say. We're looking to help protect you guys from those predatory publishers and help navigate what is a complex world when you're coming to publishing your hard work and your papers. Okay. There's one last question just popped up there. Can the website be used to identify publishers that do not meet the required standards? So if you're talking about predatory publishing, yeah, you can go through there. Now, we obviously focus the list on journal title, but as you can see above the journal title is the list of publishers. So whilst, I mean, you'd come up, you'd be looking for journal title as opposed to publisher. I don't think there's a search functionality on sort of the search term there. You can enter it in, so you could put British Open Research Publications. You could try, let's see, if we put Emerald, which we obviously all know is not a predatory publisher, see if it comes up there. It'll switch to, you see, so it will find publishing companies if you put the name in, but it'll default to all journals, and it won't necessarily allow you to search precisely on predatory reports. So they're considered journal titles in terms of predatory, not the actual publisher name. But as we all know, I've only used Emerald there as an example because I used to work there, and we all know they're not a predatory publisher anyway. So yeah, you can search by publisher name, but it will revert to all journals as your answer. Then you'd have to hover over predatory there to see, actually, there's no Emerald journals on there, or there's no Wiley journals on there, or another publisher that you'd choose to search. Okay. Any further questions? I would be more than welcome. That's great, and I would love if I know I'm coming out to. I think I'm in Sharjah for a conference. No plans to come to Iraq yet, but I will bear that in mind, and I will, Aziz, I will be in touch and be more than happy to take you up on your invitation.
Yes, you're welcome in Iraq anytime.
That's great. Now, any other questions before we call it a day? I know it's, I think you're a bit later than I am, so I'm at 5:30. I have a personal appointment that I need to attend to in the next 15 minutes, but I know you guys will be a lot later on in the evening than I am. So any further questions?
I say in Arabic, إذا يوجد أي سؤال أساتذتنا الكرام قبل أن ننهي الاجتماع. Any question before we close the meeting? Before we ending the meeting, any question in Arabic? إذا يوجد أي سؤال من الأساتذة الحاضرين قبل أن نقوم بإنهاء الاجتماع. I think no question.
Okay, so if there are any questions, if you want to act as sort of a go-between and sort of list any questions that anyone might put to you, please feel free to list them all in an email. You have my contact details. Send them to me in a sort of list format, and we will do our best to answer them as quickly as possible. But other than that, I will get an email out to you as tomorrow, just to give you ideas of things like we discussed, pricing information, that sort of stuff, how all subscriptions work, and next steps if you want to take it, take this further. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time, everyone. Thank you for listening. I hope I covered everything you wanted to learn. As I said, it's my second time out for a demonstration, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ash, for this very important information about Cabells, and we sure will contact you again, and we'll you're welcome in Iraq. We can send you invitation to visit in Iraq sooner.
Thank you very much. I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you. See you all later. Bye-bye.
Recording stopped.